and welcome to the first video of Art's Way Out, a German-Israeli creative initiative. My name is Anat Safran. I'm an artistic director and curator based in Tel Aviv. So this is a new project by the German embassy here in Israel as a reaction to the global crisis of coronavirus and the changes that the cultural scene is going through. Also this year we celebrate 55 years of diplomatic relations between our countries, which makes it even a better occasion for us to have this dialogue. So today we'll have a talk with two great creators working with new media in urban spaces. So hello, Susa and Lila Chitayat.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. So Susa is a Berlin-based curator, cultural entrepreneur, lecturer, artistic director, and the co-founder of Public Art Lab, the Urban Media Art Academy, and the Connecting Cities Network. And Lila Chitayat is a Tel Aviv-based architect, new media artist, lecturer, and designer, working on a wide range of new media and experience design projects. Thank you so much for having this talk today.
Thank you.
Thank you for the invitation.
So as a start, I would like each of you to shortly present one of your past projects, a project that had a major influence on your work and that you feel that is still very relevant today. So maybe Lila, we start with you.
Okay. So I'm really happy to be with all of you. I will be talking on a project called Taxi Link, which was a milestone in my artistic exploration. Because as an architect, I tried using my architectural skills in spatial experiences. The project was a collaboration with my brother, Lila Chitayat. We were invited to participate in the celebrations of LinC as the cultural capital of 2009, and the theme was called 80+1. So like Jules Verne's story, they were looking to connect LinC through streaming live information. We created a static model of a taxi that was set in the main piazza of LinC, and it was open to the public, inviting them to step in and experience a real taxi ride. People in LinC could hop in, speak with the driver, request places, or listen to stories, while the front view mirror was built as a screen that was showing live video, and there was a small mirror, like a back mirror, where you could see and communicate with drivers and see his eyes. On the other side in Jerusalem, we had a lot of taxis filled with cameras and laptops and real taxi drivers that had diverse relationships to Jerusalem, so they could teleport their narratives of the city through personal stories and mostly personal points of view. This was all done in 2009, and it was at least 1 year before we all had cell phones with cameras, and even before we could read places through Google Maps or Skype. There was yet no technology able to transport mobile video or speak. So in a way, it made us able of focusing mostly on the experience and not the technology, and literally connecting people that will share narratives and memories. And in a way, I think today, with all the restrictions of physical distancing and travel restrictions, I really think it's I relook at this project in quite amazement as almost as a practical tool.
And do you think that the people in LinC got a better understanding, a better cultural understanding of Jerusalem and yes, maybe the whole daily life and routine there?
I think it was a method that literally created magic, because it could take sometimes 2 minutes of a conversation between someone from LinC with the taxi driver to open up such heavy issues like political issues or cultural issues. And there was one time I was riding in LinC a few years later with a taxi driver, and he asked me where I'm from, and I said from Israel, and he said, oh, I once visited Jerusalem, not physically, but I was in Jerusalem with this project, da, 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 da. So yeah, I think it stayed in, it made a very strong, very dense and short experience for people.
Yeah, that's fantastic that you brought it up. I think it has so much to do with Public Art Lab's Connecting Cities project. I can also shortly show you a film and talk about it. this Connecting Cities project has explored the cultural potential of public advertisement screens with a goal to reclaim them as platforms to connect people and places beyond physical borders. Like here, for example, you see this networked scenario between people in Berlin and Liverpool using this SMS slingshot to write messages to each other and having this translocal dialogue beyond physical borders. And I think, especially in Corona pandemic times, we have seen how suddenly borders can get locked down and how important it is to have this exchange and dialogue with people, although they are not physically present. So this can be a very playful way, like here you see the Lumo Blocks project, where people are playing Tetris together on public screens. Also, they are in distant places. And this whole idea of connecting cities um, was interesting. It was funded by the European Union, and the partners shared all the question what urban media art can do for our society, for the cities, and for the people. And most of the partners are curating media facades and digital screens and wanted to investigate new forms of networkness by circulating art projects and opening these digital infrastructures as real-time windows and platforms for social interaction. Yeah, so one of my favorite projects is Occupy the Screens by Paul Sermon and Charlotte Gold. Here, people from different cities can interact and meet each other on the screen. So the screen is transformed in a third space and becomes a virtual landscape. We have connected for the first time China and Australia with this project. This is really very amazing, and you see what is the fun for the people in front of the screen as well. Yeah, so digital calligraphy is another social relevant project as it gives a platform to the representatives of migrating cultures whom we invited to reflect about their experience to come to Europe and also their ideas to stay there. We really wanted to give them a voice and a platform. So they were invited to write meaningful messages, which were live projected on screens in the public space and reached millions of people every day.
So thank you so much for sharing these past projects. And now I would like us to move to the present. We live in very strange times now with this world pandemic. And I wonder, what were you working on when this coronavirus arrived? What was interrupted?
I think it was 2 days before the lockdown. I just finished to install a very large site-specific installation artwork of mine that is called Going Nowhere. It was part of the Tel Aviv Arts and Design Biennale that was supposed to open just the day after. I even didn't have time to take a real photo, and the museums were shut down. So the whole Biennale with all the hundreds of projects are still standing there covered by dust. Ironically, it was in a way, interestingly, reflecting on our present future. The project, the art project, was dealing with the constant state of suspense, and in a way, I think we are all in this global state of disbelief, suspense of disbelief.
Yes, I actually I share your experience, Lila, in a way, because I just came back from Africa 3 days before the lockdown, and I was there for 3 weeks for a training session for GIZ, and with many people in Nairobi and in Johannesburg, I just said, okay, see you in April in Berlin again, and we were all looking forward to meet us again. But then came the lockdown, and in the moment, I have the feeling that yes, that it's really millions of years ago that we were living in this world of mobility and of journeys and of physical exchange. So, but there was still this, how can I say, yearning or this desire to go back to the world, to see the world. And so we presented the Telepresent Gallery in our studio at Public Art Lab. Which means that we have captured live stream videos from webcams, surveillance cameras, so-called CCTV cameras worldwide, and have shown all these empty places as a rear projection on the large window of our studio. So the people were passing by with their dogs just for a moment when they went out, and have seen on the projection of our windows all these empty places worldwide. Just imagine Times Square, there was nobody. And as so many crossings where normally cars are driving, there was really nobody, nothing, only empty places. This was really very impressive. And this is what we have shown as a telepresent gallery during the Corona times at Public Art Lab.
So I think there are a lot of interesting initiatives coming out of these strange times, and also by some art institutions and cultural institutions that are all obviously closed and empty. And maybe Lila, you can tell us about your initiative regarding this matter exactly.
So I suggested Tel Aviv museum director, why not expand the physicality of the museum building in this locked down city? And why not just create a mobile gallery that will project the art and cultural assets to the people, but also in the city, really expand this idea of a museum in the city. So the two head directors of the museum jumped into it and curated. For now, we did 2 evenings. One was in Tel Aviv, one was in Jaffa. It's called Through the Balconies, and it's always not said where it will be because there's still all these problems of gatherings of people. So it's kind of, it pops up in the midst of a city in the evening. And in a way, it connects the museum again to the urban skin. We project movies and that are video arts of that belong to the museum. And I think in a way, it's more than the action. It's a statement of understanding that museums can now expand much more diversely to the city and in this area, as you say, between the digital and the real. It's a very interesting area where we can now experiment in.
I like this project so much, and I also, how can I say, how amazing that you really did it in that short time and gave back culture to people where normally everybody missed it, and so that's an amazing project.
So, okay, we talked about the past and the present, and now let's talk about the future. Because it feels like this is a really good time to create collaborations, especially since borders have no meaning now and we work with technology. And when we look at your past projects that we can see going on the screen, from both of you, you'll find a very similar approach, and we can easily imagine a common project together, connecting our two countries, different cities. What kind of a collaborative project you can imagine for us for the near future between our countries?
To be honest, I can imagine a lot of projects together with you, Lila. And I think it's really time that we should do something together. What I like so much about your work is, of course, that you have this translocal approach, this connecting people and places approach of it. But on the other hand, of course, your projects are also very, have so much meditation. They are so minimalistic and yes, and always provide a place of experience. Yes, and why it fits so well to do something together with you, Lila, is because I think artistic projects in future times, they will always deal with the hybrid spaces, you know, with these cross-disciplinary layers between the urban physical space and the digital space of the internet. These membranes, what you also experience and give the people with your projects. And I would suggest to explore more this interrelationship with a project, which I'm also currently developing with a nature writer. Her name is Michaela Fieser. And it's interesting, this nature writing is a present movement of writers and climate change activists who focus on the urgencies of our time. And they go to places where they can feel and experience the intrinsic nature, write about it, and about the biotopes, about the environment. And our interest could be to bring it back to the city, to use urban media art to really intermediate it to the city, to focus on these climate change urgencies and project it back to the cityscape, and of course also to the yes, to the digital space of live streamings.
Thank you so much. It sounds almost natural that we finally managed to collaborate after all these years. I think in your work, what I appreciate, and it's shifting throughout the years, but there's always this sense of the importance of playfulness, which is these days more than ever, I think, a major feature we should all hold on and embrace. And on the other hand, that the city is always your playground, and I really find it as well a space where it feels like people are now more open to experiment, and the city is shifting, the public spaces expanded into our private owned spaces and vice versa. So in this way, I think all these infrastructures that the city holds can be reused in these ways, and using sound and nature are two very interesting forms for me as well to collaborate with.
All these ideas that you have shared with us today, they really make me wait to see what the future will bring for us, for you. I think this is really a very interesting times we're living at. And all these concepts of urban space and how technology and art can interfere in it, it's like the perfect moment for it. This is like my feeling here. And I would like to thank you very much for this talk. I hope to see you soon in the real world, in the virtual world, or in between. So thank you.
Thank you as well.
Thank
Thank you for inviting us.
It was really nice to talk to you.
And,
thank you.
And we all meet soon, very soon.
Yes.
Stay safe.